Alrighty guys, I like giving you guys the full details and stuff. The carburetor that you saw it running on was this one right here. I tried to resurrect it. It's got major fueling issues or whatever. Smoked my brand new air filter. You can see the red stuff in it. I believe that's why it's not wanting to. No, not that one. This one. This is the carburetor. Walbro one right here. This is the one that I tried resurrecting. This is my China one. It don't work right. And I know that don't work right because I've tried that on 2 other saws. But this works a little better than this one. But as soon as that saw comes down to an idle, it quits. It just starts leaking fuel everywhere and floods out. And then I've got another used carburetor that looked horrible on the outside. Like all the brass and stuff has turned green. It had green corrosion all built up around it, and I'm like, carb's probably no good. I tore it apart. The inside looks absolutely beautiful, but I got it soaking in the barium cleaner. Hopefully it'll clean up the corrosion off it. Hopefully I can resurrect that one. But when I took that carburetor off, I looked. The intake boot was all. Well, I can show you because it wants to go right back to kind of how it was. I can't even. Like that. The intake boot, when this is all tightened down, is not going to work for me. I couldn't get this nut driver down through it when you push it all in there. So that intake boot is not going to work. A 660 boot is way too long, does the same thing. The problem I'm running into is you can see the height difference. There's almost a 1/2 inch difference in heights. The 460 straight, this is on an angle. I have 2 different intake boots ordered right now that are really shorties that might possibly work. And whatever I end up coming up with to work, I'll let you know. But the stroker's gonna have to get put on hold. Hopefully I can get that carburetor put together today. But as you can see, there's a huge height difference. I think that's why it wasn't wanting to rev up. I think it was just choking itself off on the intake boot, and probably under vacuum it was probably even sucking itself even worse. I didn't do that intake boot any justice by wadding it up in there. But we have a cement saw intake boot coming, and if I can't end up getting that stuff to work, what I'm probably going to end up doing is milling this flat to the height of this, and then I'll come in with my hand grinder, and I'll blend this all back in, and then I'll come in with my little tiny Dremel and I'll hand put in that groove, because this groove really needs to be about where that flat spot is. I'll probably end up trying to take a stab. Other option is going to be cutting that completely off, moving it where I want it to, and then TIG welding it back on. But then the plating's probably gonna lift. But I'm not giving up on this thing. I guess even if I gotta completely mutilate this thing, weld it all up, and if the plating lifts, I guess I'll talk to Joe and maybe have a steel sleeve put in it. I don't know if I steel sleeve this thing, I might go 52 millimeter. Because then he could probably cut just the plating out. and then sleeve it down to 52 millimeter, and I can use a 181 piston instead of the 288 piston, and then this thing would be like 85 cc's or whatever. But that way it would leave me enough meat here for a good seal. So I don't know, that's just a couple options that we got going on. I'm not giving up on it, but I do got to put it on hold while I'm waiting for parts to come in, and hopefully that boot will just solve the problem. And I'm gonna have to work on it. Cascaded. My muffler was obviously not sealed up. I'm gonna have to use a better gasket. I used this thin metal one there, and I think I'm gonna have to use a fibrous one. I think I can still fix that, or I'm gonna have to goop it. But yeah, because it's spit some exhaust out on there. So yep. But I've got a 2511 I got to do. I got that 372 I got to do. I got my 372 that I got sitting there all torn apart that I got to do. Tanton's carburetor come in for the month, so I can get that put on there and see if we can get that running any better. And then there was something else, but I can't really. I'm gonna work on getting the carburetor done on this today, but other than that, I'm gonna stuff rags in the crankcase, and this thing's gonna get set off to the side though. But that's the stroker update. So yep, sometimes things just don't go as planned, but I'm not giving up on it. You guys take it easy and have a good one.